Hi, I'm Yamina, aka Hinduitive, and I'm here to intuitively break down some astrology for you. All right, friends, this one is big. We have the solar eclipse and new moon in Aries, and it's happening in the middle of a cosmic, for lack of a better word, storm. There's so much to unpack, so I'm going to guide you through all of it step by step. But before I go further, I do need to say this is not, I repeat, this is not the time for rituals. We are not manifesting anything. We are not planting any new seeds because this energy is very much about letting go of. I know it can feel like a powerful time to manifest, and there are a lot of people out there talking about manifesting, but you here at Hinduitive, no, we're not manifesting. We're not messing with this energy. The best thing you can do, especially with Neptune shifting signs tomorrow and the solar eclipse, is to lay low. We're looking at about 6 weeks of keeping things quiet on the personal front and shifting our energy towards the collective, aka stopping fascism in its tracks. This can't be overstated. Every single person needs to be voluntarily sharing their opinions online, speaking out as much as possible, because in collective dissent, we are individually much safer. Okay, so let's talk about the solar eclipse in Aries. This is the last eclipse in a series that started in March 2023. My eye starts twitching every time I start talking about it, that's correct. Think of this as a closing chapter. Aries energy is bold and fearless and unapologetic, but when we're in eclipse season, it's like the lights go out for a moment, right? The light is literally being obscured. We're left in the dark, and that's where the magic or the chaos can happen. When the sun is obscured during a solar eclipse, it's like the ego and identity take a step back, and we get a glimpse of what's really going on beneath the surface. This eclipse is showing us where we've been too rigid, where we've been clinging to certain beliefs, where we've not been willing to let go, and where we have clung to a certain outcome because we refuse to believe that it could go any other way than what we have planned in our head. You need to look at where Aries falls in your chart because this is where you're probably saying goodbye to something. Not necessarily forever, which is important to highlight, but definitely for now. Okay, here's where the real game changer is. We have Neptune moving into Aries for the first time in our entire lives. So Neptune has been in Pisces, which is its exaltation, as in Neptune does the best in Pisces. That's because Pisces is very floaty and dreamy and sort of without a plan, but in a cool way. Neptune also rules addiction. So it's a very important time to keep an eye on the vices that are coming up for you right now. Neptune has been in Pisces for the last 14 years, and there it was all about dreams, illusions, spirituality, dissolving boundaries. But Neptune in Aries is, quite literally completely different. You have to consider, right? Pisces is the ending of the zodiac. Aries is the beginning. If you've met a Pisces and if you've met an Aries or anybody with a major placement in either, you know just how different they are. So Neptune in Aries, this shift is fiery, it's action oriented, and it is about fighting for what you believe in. Neptune is the planet of collective dreams and Aries is the warrior. Put those two together and we have a period where spirituality meets direct action. Is it making sense now why for the solar eclipse you are not meant to focus on anything individual but focus on things collective? And is it making more sense as to why if you focus on something individual, if somehow you are still in a world where you are focusing on your individualism, which might be from New Age spirituality that has taught you that you should be considering yourself above everybody, regardless, however you got there, however you got here, if you are thinking about yourself and what you need to do, or you are trying to protect your peace, the era of protecting your peace, especially if you are a person with immense privilege or unseen privilege, seen privilege, but unseen battles, but seen privilege, you know what I mean? This is your time to shine. This is when Black and brown people really actually need you to step up. Now, you might have jumped back when I said Neptune was in Pisces for 14 years because, yes, it takes about 15 years for Neptune to move signs, which means, God willing, each of us are only in for about 6, aka half of the zodiacal wheel shifts in Neptune. That's why this is so significant. We have never experienced this. If you have not been taking care of the collective, I don't know how many times I've said this, if you have not been taking care of the collective, your karma is going to be for the next not only 15 years, but it will be for the generation after that, the generation after that, and the generation after that. So there is time to course correct. And if you're here, it's less likely that you haven't been doing anything for the collective, but I do feel like I get a few stragglers. So if you are somebody that's watching this and are like feeling a little bit of panic because you're like, you know what, I wasn't that mindful during COVID. I don't mask when I'm in public places. I haven't been calling my reps. I don't think I've actually done anything to stand up for any of the collectives that are suffering G-sides, etc. Listen to me. And I y'all know that I hate to fearmonger. This isn't that. This is just what it is. If you have not taken the time to help other people, really help them, if you have not walked the walk that we are walking here at what I like to call Hinduitive HQ, which is my apartment, then the next 15 years are going to be really tough for you. And there's no getting around that. And depending on how little or how much work you've done in the last, especially 5 years, but really 15, I'm going to say 5 for the sake of most of us being somewhat youthful still, blessed be, there will be a reckoning. This individualistic sentiment is exactly what has gotten America here. And listen, it's not to say that you can't strive for what you want. I have every desire still to be married despite the patriarchy, to have a child despite the patriarchy, to be wealthy despite the virus that is capitalism. It's okay. It's okay to be human and have those human desires. You have to balance it. And at some point, you do have to understand that karma is real. It's not an immediate boomerang. It's much, much slower than we think. Now, if you are somebody that has been doing the work, this is about to be a period of bounty. And it may be disguised because of Neptune and Aries, but then it will come through very suddenly and it will be undeniable. And it is likely things that you have been dreaming about for your whole life. So remember that Neptune can be tricky. It is the line between fantasy and reality. And in Aries, it can show up as impulsive action. It can show up as misplaced idealism. It can also be fighting battles that aren't actually ours. So when we're talking about fighting for the collective, what this is saying is that you need to be calling your reps, of course. You need to be signing petitions. You need to be phone banking. You need to be showing up at those protests. You need to be talking to your local community about what you believe is right. Also, you don't need to try to fight a battle that you know you cannot win. If, for example, a faction of the population is deeply embedded in a cult mentality, then you just need to lead by example and allow them to come out. Because here's another thing about people that are in cults, and I heard this from, her name is the Knitting Lady on TikTok, but she's a former captain in the army and former helicopter pilot. She's much higher in rank than what I just described, but she talks about, she grew up in the Children of God cult and then was in the military, which I think even people in the military know that the military is a cult, because in order to have that kind of submission and in order to be willing to do the kinds of things or to participate in the organization that does the kinds of things that the military has done, and to be quite frank, has gotten us to where we are today, does require a certain level of detachment, in the same way that everything requires a level of detachment within capitalism, right? It's not really to blame anybody for that. Looking at my best friend who's in the military, she knows I'm not talking about her, but it's more about the complex itself and also educating yourself enough within that group to not be duped by them. So Neptune in Aries is really tricky because it can show up as you not being willing to reach across the aisle in your personal life. And I will say, at least for right now, I do think especially Black people and Black people in POC, but especially Black people, have the right to sit back if they'd like. People with citizenship, people with financial privilege, people with white privilege, with any privilege, it is our responsibility to show up. And if your showing up is not necessarily physical, Neptune in Aries, it's being bold on the phone. It's being bold in your action regardless. So I do want you to fight the good fight, but I don't want you to everybody all the time. At some point, there has to be a middle ground. And because Neptune is going to be in this for the next 15 years, like I'm going to be 52. Chat, I'm going to be 52 years old when Neptune moves into Taurus. I'm going to be 52 years old. By then, I don't want to be having the same fights with people. So you are going to see a lot of people being completely just eclipsed from your life right now. Okay, the next thing to talk about is that we have Venus that is still retrograde, but she has moved into Pisces, which is the sign of her exaltation. And that is a huge relief because she has been in Aries. When she's retrograde, she dips. She kind of like rocks back into Pisces, and then she'll move back through Aries on her way to Taurus. So right now, Venus is retrograde, boo. But in Pisces, yay. Venus is the arts, but she's also our value system. She is money. Another sign that's ruled by Venus is Libra. Okay, so we're talking about collective justice. You're like, yeah, we get it. We should fight for the collective. Neptune is moving into Aries, babe. What do you want me to do? I gotta say it. So Venus moving into Pisces, retrograde into Pisces, is telling us, are you sure? Like, do you really miss that person? Do you really want to be with this person? We are experiencing a very high volume of breakups. You know how there just seems to be a period of time every 2 years or so where all of a sudden, like, people are just really, relationships are breaking up or people are getting together at a rapid rate. This is very, very, very much a divorce period of time, an eclipsing out of period time, a breakup period of time. Know that anything that leaves your life right now, and it sounds like hyperbole, but I actually do mean anything that has exited in the last 6 weeks and for the next 6 weeks is not meant to be in your life, and I don't like to call what the universe does testing. I do like to call it pattern recognition. You're being asked to see if you're doing the same thing. Are you doing the same thing or have you moved on? Okay, finally, before we even get into these cards, then we have Mercury. Actually, I said finally, and I can't be. Mercury is retrograde in Aries, which we're about to talk about. So this might not be my last point in my notes, but it could be. Anyway, Mercury is retrograde in Aries, girl. And that's tough. Mercury is ruled by Gemini. Gemini is very malleable, very, very smart. I am somewhat partial to Geminis, so I try to keep that in mind when I'm talking about them. Mercury in Aries is it's a rub. It's not super comfortable. And so that means of everything we've talked about so far, Venus is the only one that's feeling pretty good, and she's retrograde. Everybody else is like, we don't like this. We don't like this. We don't like this. The sun is in Aries, which, like, whatever, the sun's chilling. The sun is not chilling, but the sun doesn't really care. Surya, that's what you say in Hinduism. Surya is like too powerful to really care. The other planets, it really matters to them when they're in something that they don't love. And Mercury retrograde in Aries is telling us that we have to slow down. We have to really evaluate the way that we're thinking about things, the way that we're speaking to other people, the way that we're speaking to ourselves. It's also a time to expect a lot of miscommunications and delays. There is going to be a lot of frustration. Like the way I'm talking to you now and the way that I have been talking, doesn't it feel like I've been talking at you for several months? Mercury retrograde in Aries begs us to recalibrate before we take any serious action. If you have to sign a contract before May 1st, I would ask that you quintuple check it. If you meet somebody really exciting in the next 6 weeks, take it with a grain of salt, have fun. This is actually a really great time to initiate intimacy if that's something that's been missing from your life for a long time, or initiate dating. This is also a good time for doing the opposite of what you normally do in dating. For me, what I normally do is sit at my home, try apps for like 1 or 2 days, and then not even give up. I just kind of retreat and decide that I'll worry about it a different year. So for me, the Venus retrograde is very much about getting on apps and allowing people to reach out to me and not putting it off. I am very much the huntress usually, so I am allowing myself to be hunted. Feels dark to say hunted, but that is what I mean. Future husband, if you see this, I hope you are hunting me down. Okay, guys, so that is the astrology around the solar eclipse. That's not even the solar eclipse. The solar eclipse in Aries is about finding your individual voice, figuring out how bold you can be, and letting go of the how, the why, the when in the house that rules Aries. Okay? Let's move into the cards. Okay, guys, so now let's talk about the tarot cards that I pulled for the solar moon. That made me think of She is the one true Sailor Moon. All right, first we have Judgment Reversed. Judgment Reversed, this is a big one. I mean, I could honestly say that about pretty much everything, anything and everything right now, but it's true. This just is an epic time to be alive. Epic, not easy, epic though. So Judgment Reversed is big. This is definitely a call to accept what you have not done for other people, especially because it's reversed. When it's upright, it's saying, hey, you've been working really, really hard. You've been doing everything that you were supposed to do for other people, and now you're going to get rewards for that. On the other hand, when it's reversed, it is, hey, we noticed that you actually haven't been doing anything that you were supposed to do. So the thing about the Judgment Reverse card is that if you have been doing the work, if you've been standing up for others, showing up for marginalized communities, showing up for the voiceless, you've got nothing to worry about. But if you haven't, I'm going to be real with you, you need to brace for impact. I wish there was a way to sugarcoat that, and there just isn't. Okay, so the second card we have is Seven of Pentacles reversed. Actually, you know what? Let me say this collectively. Think about the people that we're watching every day that have been relentlessly, basically for their whole lives, oppressing people, okay? Yes, I pulled these and they're about the individual, but again, going back to what I said at the beginning of this, right now is just not about you as an individual. It's not about me as an individual. It is truly about us moving through this time as a collective. So the Judgment Reversed card, if it's making your heart flutter a little bit, then that is something for you to examine. But I promise you, you have not done nearly as much evil, if any, as compared to the people that I'm talking about, which now I feel like I should you get it. You know who I'm talking about. I'm naturalized, y'all, so I don't want to take too many risks. All right, so now let's move on to the Seven of Pentacles reversed. So this speaks, I think, very much to the solar eclipse in Aries, because this speaks to you pouring into something that has not yielded you any fruit, okay? I'm going to be very vulnerable with you and tell you that for me, I'm a Sagittarius rising. This axis is happening on my 5th house of creativity, children, and romance, and my 10th house, Libra, of career. And so what I've had to really come to terms with, and let's think about this, you guys have all been with me for this long, March 2023, okay, 7 months before October 7th, I was in a really big production that was supposed to go to Broadway, and it felt like the peak of my career. Like I kind of finally was like, oh my God, these 20 years of work are finally paying off. Boom, October happens. I'm speaking out for what's right. And now you may have noticed that for a solid 2 years, I haven't acted. Nobody's hired me for anything really. And that is not because I'm not good. It's because I've been speaking out. And it has taken me so long to come to terms with the fact that for now, I have to say goodbye to this portion of my life. I don't think it's over at all. I deeply believe that I will still accomplish everything that I wanted to accomplish with that. But for now, I am shifting my focus to my Virgo Pisces chart or axis, because that's where the next eclipse season is. And that for me is Pisces, home and hearth, building a family, and my 11th house, which is public notoriety, friends, networking, that kind of thing. So I think that Hinduitive, and again, this is just an example of how to apply this to your own life. I think I've shifted from not shifted from the creative arts being my career, but it's a yes and. I'm shifting now to understanding that I would like to focus on creating some more stability in my life, and I'm letting go of the how around acting and singing, right? I'm also going to focus more on recording my own music, because at the end of the day, that's ultimately what I want to do. So it's like the thing that you're like, I really don't want to say goodbye to this, but Seven of Pentacles reversed is like, nope, but nothing's happening. Like, I think we get so obsessed with having an identity as something, and I want to be at the very top of everything that I'm doing, even though I'm doing a lot all the time. I'm not really interested in being mediocre in any way. And this Seven of Pentacles reversed really resonates with me, because this is saying like, this thing isn't gone forever. The work that you've done, the work that you've put towards your manifestations doesn't get like erased when you focus on something else. It just gets logged. And if it's not happening, then the universe is asking you to pick up on the clues and to understand that maybe your focus should be somewhere else. Maybe the path is through another house. Maybe it's not. For me, I can see now with TV, film, and Broadway, there's no way that I could have been in any of those fields for the last 18 months and been as vocal as I am, right? And there's no way also that I would have been in those fields and not been as vocal as I am. I probably just would have burnt my career down in a different way. So for me, I'm like, God's got it. I'm not worried about it. And that's what this Seven of Pentacles reversed is saying. It doesn't mean you're being rejected from anything. It doesn't mean that thing is over forever, but maybe that version of it is, and maybe that's okay. So then, speaking of that feeling, we move on to the Five of Pentacles. And this is a rough card. This, when it comes up, is just really like, you've been having a hard time, and we see you, and we feel you. Five of Pentacles is literally being left out in the cold. But the thing is, the people in the card, if you can see, they don't realize that there's actually a shelter behind them and that there is a place for them to go. Now, if somebody from Gaza watches this reading, are they going to think that that's true? No. And that's where in this, we have to take a little bit of the reading with a grain of salt, because that's what I'm saying about shifting from an individual mind to a collective mind. Individually, you might feel helpless or left out in the cold in terms of the rise of fascism, in terms of the G side, in terms of, I don't know, God, there's so many things I could list right now, but your helplessness is just you playing the victim. You're not actually helpless. It takes much longer for these things to come to pass. They are trying to literally freeze you out, okay? The government is trying to make you so stunned that you're frozen, which is what this card is. It's somebody that is frozen and cannot act, but they don't realize that the warm building behind them is their community. It's what they've accomplished until now. It's the little things that they do regardless. Maybe you haven't ever spoken out, but maybe you've supported a local Palestinian restaurant. Maybe you've never spoken out, but you are having conversations with people in your community. Like there are a million ways to help, and people will be very judgmental, myself included, to be honest. Like I have too much fire in my chart to be neutral when it comes to expression. And so expression to me is a love language. Like to me, seeing it written is bold. That means something. And this Five of Pentacles is saying you feel like you've been left out in the cold. And again, you need to look at where Aries is in your chart, because that is likely where you've been left out in the cold. Going back to what I was just saying about my career, Aries is in my fifth house of creativity. And I certainly in the last 18 months have felt like I've just been iced out of being a creative, but had to stop playing the victim and had to decide I am a creative. I can create. I don't need permission to create. And you also don't need permission to resist or dissent or create in the way that we need you to right now. It can be however you do it. As long as you know that you're doing it, it doesn't matter what I or anybody else says. So to recap, these three cards together, Judgment reversed, Seven of Pentacles reversed, and Five of Pentacles, is very much like you are feeling destitute and like you're at the end of your rope. You're feeling like it's impossible to know where any solution could come from or how it could come. But your job is not to worry about that right now. The solar eclipse in Aries / new moon, I don't really want to call it a new moon even, is about you allowing whatever needs to get eclipsed out of your life to be eclipsed out of your life. And if you look at that house and you don't really know what you've said goodbye to or what you're saying goodbye to, let it sit. You know, with Aries in the air, we are likely to want answers right now. We're likely to want solutions right now, and that's just not how any of this works. A way that I love to look back at what was happening for me is through my photos album. I'll go back to, March of 2023 and see what I was doing. I take 5 million pictures a day of nothing, and I'm so grateful because I can always look back and see exactly what I was thinking. So we're talking about, this karma coming up and receiving the karma, good or bad, for whatever you've done. And if you've done a lot of good, it's probably going to be a really good year for you. If you've done a lot of bad, and again, I'm talking about since March of 2023, or not even a lot of bad, but if you've done a lot of nothing, that will also come back on you. And on a world scale, we will see the people that have been perpetuating this evil across the spectrum. I am not talking about one side of people. In fact, I am very specifically talking about the side of people that are the good people. Everybody will face their reckoning, especially for the next 20 years. But really, within this next 6 weeks, like, the house of cards will continue to fall. So keep breathing. It's also saying that you have not been left out in the cold or forgotten, and the things that you have worked towards are still part of your destiny. You just need to release the how. Embrace that you are not meant to be defined by one thing at any given moment in your life, and embrace the idea that, you get to be a new person. When that other thing is not working out, you're being asked to see what else there is. All right, finally, I felt the need to pull an oracle card from this deck, Archangel Oracle Cards by Doreen Virtue. I think Doreen, oh no, that's Colette Baron Reed. Some of the people that made these decks years ago, now they're like evangelical Christians, which is very, very, very common. The New Age to evangelical pipeline it's just a circle, actually. So that's why I strongly encourage you to think thrice before signing up with any life coaches that are white. Anyway, that's not the point. The point is I pulled this oracle card, and what we got was clear your space. And this, with all this retrograde energy in the air, it's the perfect time to declutter. What I really want you to focus on this weekend, if you can, is doorways, surfaces, your kitchen, and your bathroom, because Aries is Mars, and Mars rules the kitchen and the bathroom. So I'm looking at my cluttered stove right now. Clear the stove. Make sure there are no dishes in the sink. It's all very woo, but it works. You kind of believe it, otherwise you wouldn't be here. Even if you expand like a goldfish like me, just at least clear surfaces, doorways, bathroom, kitchen. Okay, guys. The impact of this week's astrology can't really be overstated, and I know I got a little, things got a little spooky ooky in this reading. They got a little scary, but I just want to add one more slightly scary thing, which is just be mindful. We're very injury prone right now. I have a busted up ankle because I busted my ass last week. Like really fell in a way that I haven't fallen in a long time. And I think maybe I have a fracture in my toe, but there's nothing you can do about it. Anyway, but I mean that to say, be careful of injuries. Be careful of minor car accidents. Be careful of knives, like anything that is aggressive and Mars, be careful. This sounds crazy, but also like in intimacy, be careful to not hurt each other. That kind of thing. Sounds crazy, but it feels like I had to say that for somebody. Okay, so if your energy is at 0, it's okay. It shouldn't really be that amped up. I am just really chaotic energy right now because I'm all fire. So when we're going through transits like this, even though I'm retreating, my eye is twitching again. Even though I have been retreating, I told one of my best friends that she was just not going to see me in March. And I just was like, there's just no chance that you're going to see me this month because it's too chaotic. My head has been pounding. And it's likely that you've been feeling that too. So rest, okay? All of these things, the Judgment reversed, the 7 of Pentacles reversed, and 5 of Pentacles, especially because it's so likely that you have been doing the work, is saying just allow everybody else's karma to come to them in 6 weeks. You do your part. You call your reps, you sign your petitions, you go to the protests, and keep yourself very, very safe, perhaps on the outskirts. If you are Black or a POC, I have to be honest, I don't think you should go to a protest. I'm not going to, which really actually hurts me, but I know my luck, and I know my record. And so I will not be. But if you do, be very, very careful. Be mindful of these travel, like the restrictions that people are highlighting about travel. Actually do the stuff that you need to do to protect yourself. I am somebody that is kind of always like, I'm sure it's fine, even though I'm telling you it's clearly not. But me and you here, and me out in the world, are very, very different. So keep that in mind. I know it's so much, and if your energy is just stalled out, it's going to pick back up, and quite quickly. So just continue to savor these moments. The last 5 years have really been about reflecting and reassessing and savoring. And I think COVID was the jump start to our world changing rapidly. But at the end of 2025, our world will 100% be different. I don't know what that means. I just know that it's true. I know that it's nothing to be scared of, but I know it's something to be prepared for. So if you need to take rest, take rest. If you feel inspired to take action, take action. Do whatever you feel called to do. But remember that the energy around us is very inflammatory, and we need to be as calm as possible while we are doing these things that require a lot of aggression. April is another insane month, but it will be slightly more manageable. I still don't encourage you to go to large crowds in April if you can avoid it. Again, if you're white, there's more room to maneuver, and you can use your privilege very wisely. And I strongly encourage you to use your privilege very wisely. But for my POC people, take action daily, but keep yourself safe. This isn't a good month to. I'm just laughing because I'm like actively going against what I'm telling you right now, but I am worried about it, and I will be taking every single precaution that I can before I travel. So I encourage you to do the same, especially if you look anything like me. All right, final thoughts. I know this is a lot. I know the hits keep coming, and I just need you to remember that this is actually all in divine alignment. We are bound to get through this, and we always have, and we will continue to do so. And above all, I just want you to call your reps and do your best. All right, I'll talk to you next time. Bye. If you found this helpful and want more content like this, I highly encourage you to join my Patreon. I have to be honest, I'm not one of these people that puts a ton of stuff out on Patreon all the time, but anytime I feel called to do something, I do put it there, and it's free. So it's really no harm, no foul. You can donate if you want, but I just want to get the word out about what's happening in the world to as many people as possible. So I encourage you to join there. My private readings are open. I do virtual, I do in person. I will be doing in-person readings in Atlanta from April 21st until May 7th. So if you're there and want an in-person reading, hit me up. And other than that, the Patreon is the best way to go. Subscribe to the YouTube. Please like this video, especially if you made it all the way through this. Leave a comment. That's so helpful to me. I really enjoy doing this, and I want to keep doing it. And I really see Hinduitive expanding a lot, and you all coming with me. So if you can hold my hand and help me while I do that, I would really appreciate it. All right, y'all. That's it. Talk to you later.